Okay, this video is meant to basically introduce anybody who's new to RC flying. This is for complete noobs. It's not for people who are really up on and have been flying RCs for a while. It's just if like you're somebody like me who was just not too long ago, I was really interested in flying a drone, and I just didn't want to do all of the wiring and soldering and needing special tools and stuff to try and get it in. I just wanted to make it as plug and play as possible. So that's the point of this video. I want to make something that's basically going to be really easy for people who are brand new to FPV to get into it and not spend a lot of money buying stuff that wasn't really what they were looking for, or just isn't kind of like optimal for getting into FPV right away. So the idea was I went around and I looked at all the components that you need, and I went for the, not always the cheapest stuff, but mostly the cheapest stuff. A big part of this obviously is going to be the camera. So what happens is a lot of these store-bought drones, they've got cameras built into them, but they run off Wi-Fi. And Wi-Fi is okay for really slow, high altitude flying, but if you're actually trying to do serious flying, or something, what's really what I would consider fun flying, proximity flying, stuff like that, you have to use these cameras that run off a old-fashioned RF signal. And when you look at this camera, you can see it has this kind of weird antenna on top of it. That antenna is designed to project in like a 360 degree 3D arc. I'm not sure exactly how it all works, but it's designed to give you the maximum omnidirectional signal to pick up an image in real time. So this is your video camera, and this is like the whole key to this whole setup is you got to have a camera. It's a very small, very compact camera. I mean, like the circumference is about the size of a quarter. It's very small. And what's great about it being really small is you can attach it to a drone that you bought at Walmart, or you can put it on an expensive airplane or hobby grade drone, whatever you want to do. There's a lot of options. And the FX798T, I have not seen a major difference between all the cameras. So I think this is a safe buy. I've used it quite a bit and I've been happy with it. You get a color image. It's not ultra high resolution, but it's sufficient. It's about what you should expect from even the more higher end cameras that you can get if you get deeper into the hobby. But as far as something that's accessible right now, it's on Amazon Prime. I mean, you could get it in like 2 days if you want. I mean, it's $47 rounding up, and these components are getting cheaper all the time, let me tell you. Even just in the past few months, I've seen these components get cheaper. So you may be able to find a better deal on it right now. But one of the big questions I had was when I was starting out, was like, how do you plug these cameras in? Well, as it turns out, most of these all-in-one cameras, which is a camera plus transmitter, they all use this micro JST wiring connector, which is great because of the blade inductrix. The blade inductrix and what's called the tiny whoop. These drones are hugely popular, and they use these small one-cell batteries that also happen to have the exact same hookup that you use for the FX798T and most of these all-in-one micro cameras. So this is just an example right here. This is an E-Flight. It's dirt cheap, $6. I mean, really. It's 3.7 volt, and most importantly, it uses the JST connector that you use on the camera. So basically what you're going to do is take the camera out of the box and plug it into the battery once you've charged it up. That's it, period. Oh yeah, you do want to get a charger, but chargers are very cheap as well. I didn't mention that. I wasn't thinking about it when I shot this, but yes, you actually do need a charger, but chargers, again, they're like $8 or $9. And you can buy several of these batteries. The battery life I found, or excuse me, I should say I have found, you can get about 15 minutes, sometimes more, off one charged battery of FPV flight. So you plug the camera in, it powers on, that's all you got to do. I use Velcro to attach the camera and battery to whatever I'm flying, and it, like I said, you can put it on a drone, you can put it on fixed wing aircraft. In a hard crash, it will fall off. I'll warn you. So you definitely want to be careful. I would make sure you are comfortable flying before you attach that little camera on there. But so the next up is the EV800, and these are going to be your goggles. This is going to be your window into FPV. This is what's going to immerse you, and you're going to find out really quick why FPV is so great. And what's really cool about this goggle in particular, the EV800, is it has a channel search button on it. And because of that channel search, all you got to do is power the goggles on, plug your camera into the battery. So you got the goggles on, the battery's on. All you got to do is hit the search button. And it's just like the search button on your remote. You just push that button and bam, it's going to pull up. Well, it'll cycle through channels until it finds the channel of frequency that your camera is on. Now your camera, you can adjust the camera or the channel of frequency on your camera, and then you can manually match it on your goggles. But I just wanted to say up front, you don't have to. There is a search button. It will find the channel that your goggles are on, and once you get to the right channel, you're going to get a clear image. You're going to get a little bit of breakup. It's a lot of factors go into image breakup, the transmission signal, sometimes certain types of obstacles, trees especially. Be very careful flying around trees, I would say, as a newbie tip. But these are 800 by 480 resolution goggles. The picture is outstanding. And like I said, it's really just a matter of acclimating yourself. Now, what I'm linking here is a fixed wing aircraft. And I understand how it is. The drones are the latest and greatest. You can fly a drone in your living room. You can fly it in your backyard. You can fly it on your lunch break. You know, you don't need a lot of room. And I completely understand the appeal in drones. And there's a steeper learning curve. So there is more to learn from flying a drone versus a fixed wing aircraft, which is basically like playing a video game. But I just don't think drones are actually the right choice for people who are just brand new to FPV. If you already have a drone, you know how to fly a drone, and that's where you want to go, fine. I'm not going to argue. But if you're completely new to it, I definitely feel like putting a FPV camera on a fixed wing aircraft and then going out to a park where there's plenty of room, I would say I would feel comfortable flying in, I'd say, around somewhere between 1 and 2 acres. The Sky King that I linked earlier, it's got a pretty good range. I'd say close to 500 feet. And what's important about this plane too, over most of the toy grade quads that you pick up at, let's say, Walmart and stuff, is it actually, for one, the canopy, you can pull the canopy off there, and it's got this little flat piece of styrofoam that is actually designed for you to set the camera, an FPV camera, on this plane. It's great. It's really ingenious. I love it. And it's so simple to fly, you know, up and down, left and right. That's all you got to know, really. Like I said, it's just like playing a PlayStation game, any kind of flight game. And something else that's important is this runs off a 7.4 volt 2-cell battery. The motor is brushless. And what that means is you're going to have more power at your disposal. You don't have to run it at full throttle all the time. You can actually fly it fine at 50%. You can fly it slow. You can get yourself used to it. And in the end, it's only going to cost you, because this airplane is so cheap, it's only going to cost you about $210. And I think, like I said before, it's really important when you're getting into something new, you want to keep your expenditures to a minimum, just to try and make sure that you're not spending money on stuff that you either A, don't enjoy, or B, are going to crash and destroy really quickly. But I will say I've had some hard crashes with this plane, and the camera and battery held up just fine. I have not had any issues because of that. Velcro is miraculous. It will hold your camera and battery to a pretty fast moving plane, no problem. So yeah, so that's just the basic cost of it. And the other part of the equation that I feel like is not mentioned very well to new pilots and people who are getting into flying RC aircraft in general, not just FPV, but just in general, is wind speed. Now, obviously, everybody's going to say you want to fly at low wind speed. The manual for whatever quad or airplane you buy is going to recommend you only fly at like 5 miles an hour. And you can tell by looking at this wind forecast, this is giving me current time. But besides that, you can see the dips and rises. And this graph is showing you how wind speed tends to fall as the sun sets and rise as the sun rises. That is a trend that you will see almost every day. But it's really important because before you go fly, you want to know how fast the wind is. Sometimes you go outside and you go, oh, it's not bad out here. And then you actually check and it's like 15, 20 miles an hour. It's part of the perception that you haven't built up to wind speed. And a website like this one, or just any local forecast, if there's a regional airport somewhere nearby, they're going to be able to provide you pretty reasonable updates to wind speed. Wind speed is very fluid, I will say. It rises and falls rapidly. And if you go into a day and the forecast is showing that it's prone to high winds, then I would say don't fly. And it's just something you need to watch, and something that you'll actually get a feel for. You can fly in wind. You could fly in a 12 mile per hour wind. I have. It's doable. But I would definitely say if you're someone who's coming into it new, I think a lot of times people don't realize it is they're not as confident, or they're confident but they're not as comfortable with the controls in FPV flying as they kind of have decided they are. And a little bit of wind can make a huge difference. For one, it can make your plane or your quad fly unsteady, or it could just flat out pick it up, take it into the nearest tree, take it over a roof, or just toss it somewhere in tall grass and you never find it again. So yes, I've had some of that stuff happen. But yeah, the wind speed, it's incredibly important, and it's a part of it's partly just to protect your own property that you paid for, that you don't want to lose. It makes your flight experience funner when you have low wind speed, and it's safer, honestly. So you don't want to get in the news for some newbie who flew his drone into the Eiffel Tower or something, whatever, or caused some kind of highway accident or whatever it might be, something really serious. You don't want to be that person. I don't want you to be that person. So, I mean, basically my whole point here is, keep your expenditures down, know what you need, and know what you're doing before you take it outside. And like I said, whether you get a drone or a fixed wing aircraft is completely up to you. I'm just saying, as a recommendation for people completely new to FPV, airplanes, fixed wings generally are simpler to fly. You just need more room to do it. And I also understand the arguments in favor of the drone as well. So I'll leave that up to you. But overall, I love this hobby. It's a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun flying in FPV, and I'd like more people to get into it. And that's the whole point of this video. So at the very least, hopefully you've got to start and know where to begin if you decide to get into FPV. And that was all I've got for today. Thanks for watching.